Hi there and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Angie and I am a chemist who loves makeup. And for this video, I researched the ingredients in both the Modern Renaissance Anastasia palette and the Copycat Beauty dupe, color dupe that they call it. I think it's called like Modern Fairy Tale or something like that. But I basically researched the ingredients in these and I am going to report back my findings to you so we can see if they have a similar formula or they just look the same in the packaging. So if you haven't heard about Copycat Cosmetics, so their whole premise is that they dupe other makeup products. So for instance, the Modern Renaissance like $40 something, but then the Copycat Beauty one is like $9. From palette to palette, Copycat Beauty does not change their formula other than the pigments. I looked at a few of them, they all seem to be the same, so it's not like they're tailoring this palette to reach this formula. Their idea is more of it's a color dupe. So we're gonna look at the colorants that they decided to use. So in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, for the red colors, they used carmine. Now if you didn't know, carmine is made from crushed beetles. It's a specific type of beetle, but basically this ingredient is very expensive. So a lot of cheaper brands don't use this, but this does have like a really rich red, true red color. And this is one that's approved for the eyes. In the Copycat Beauty formula, they use FD and C Red 40. Like if it says FD and C before a colorant, that means that they had to send it through the FDA and it has to be like FDA certified, where there's a lot of testing done, you know, contaminants, that kind of thing, and each batch itself has to be certified before it can be used. Carmine isn't like that. It is approved by the FDA, but it's not, it doesn't, each batch doesn't have to be certified from what I'm aware of. The FD and C Red has more of an orangey red, so we can kind of see right off the bat that since they're not using the same red dyes, that the colors might not match up, or Copycat Beauty is gonna have to adjust their colorants more since their red does have more of an orangey red look to it. For the most part, Copycat Beauty is using a lot of the same pigments, but there are 3 other pigments that they are missing in their formula, and those are ferric ferrocyanide, manganese violet, and yellow 5 lake. So these pigments missing might tell you the colors might not match up exactly on the eye, but these also may not be the most prominent colors, so it might not be as noticeable, especially missing the yellow since they're already using an orangey red. Maybe they didn't need to use the yellow because of the colorant. We also don't know how much of these colorants are put into either of these formulas because colorants are listed at the bottom, so Copycat Beauty could be putting in less in their formula and that would make it not as pigmented. And if you're finding this information helpful, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you will always be notified when I upload a new video. So next we're gonna look at the fillers, which is most of the product. In the Anastasia palette, the first ingredient is mica amongst its eyeshadows. And in the Copycat Beauty product, it is talc. So Copycat Beauty does have mica as the second ingredient, but this could be why when I watched Kristen Dominique's video where she compared the two palettes, she did notice that the adhesion of the Copycat Beauty palette was not as good as that of the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. So this could be why a lot of times when people use mica-based shadows, they may complain they're too pigmented. Because if you're used to using talc-based eyeshadows, you have to have a lot heavier hand to get the color amount that you want. Whereas with a mica-based shadow, usually that's not the case. It does a lot better job of sticking, in my opinion. And another thing that I found out is that mica kind of has more of a translucent appearance, so kind of being able to see through it more, whereas talc is more white-based. So I think this is also what helps make these shadows more pigmented, because if you have a white-based powder and you're trying to add in colorants, you're going to need a lot more colorants to balance out that white than something that's a little bit more translucent, if that makes sense. That's just kind of me deducing from like what I've seen. I have noticed that when I use mica-based shadows, I do like those more and I feel like they're more pigmented than ones that are talc-based most of the time, because it's going to be easier for the pigments to pull through visually and not look washed out. Next, we're going to look at what gives these eyeshadows what is referred to as slip, which is basically just spreadability on the skin. Both of these palettes have boron nitride, which is gonna help the product spread easier, but the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette also has dimethicone, which is very popular for the reason of spreadability. Copycat Beauty also has dimethicone, but it's a lot farther down the list. I think because the Anastasia palette appears to have more of these ingredients, is why when I watched videos where people were comparing the two palettes, it looked like the application of the Copycat Beauty palette was a lot more patchy from what I could see visually by watching the video. And this was especially more noticeable with the red eyeshadow because it's a lot easier to see. It's not as noticeable with the more like neutral shades, those eyeshadows are probably going to be closer to someone's skin tone than something like a bright red eyeshadow. Another ingredient that is only in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette is nylon 12. So this one is also a bulking agent, which means that it helps add to the amount in the formula, so kind of like a replacement for like talc or mica. So I'm guessing like filler, but I couldn't find anything that said it like that blatantly. So the thing about nylon 12 is that it can increase opacity. So you probably wouldn't notice this in like a lighter eyeshadow, but again, like in those red eyeshadows, in the dark eyeshadows, you are going to notice this. So from what I could tell in the Copycat Beauty formula, is it looked like silica was kind of used for the same reason as the nylon 12 in the Copycat Beauty formula. But based on what I was reading, I went on makingcosmetics.com, and a lot of people said that this nylon 12 was essential to their formula because it makes them feel very smooth and silky. So I think this might kind of be one of those things that, since it's like a more expensive ingredient and it feels a lot nicer, is probably why people also really like this eyeshadow palette. So experiences a lot of it, so that's like, so I think that this nylon ingredient is probably a lot better than that silica. So overall, I would not buy the Copycat Beauty Modern Fairy Tale palette. It might be usable, but based on looking at just the ingredients, again, I didn't do swatches or anything, but just based on looking at the ingredients, I have a feeling this would be a product that I would use like once or twice, and I would probably never use it again after that, because I do have so many eyeshadow palettes like the Modern Renaissance that I love a lot better. I'm wearing Modern Renaissance today. I have a lot of like cheaper eyeshadow palettes that have like the same formula, and I've used them like a few times, and now they're just kind of like sitting in a corner somewhere because I never use them. So whereas I have my Modern Renaissance palette that I have used to death, like look at that. So I'd recommend, if the colors of the Modern Renaissance palette are like speaking to you, save your money up for it. Maybe you're only going after like those like red ones. I know Anastasia sells a lot of singles online, or check out a place like ColourPop. I've had success with their shadows. They may not be identical to like the color layout that's shown, but they are gonna be good quality shadows, especially for the price point. And if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button so I know to make more videos like these, and click the subscribe button so you'll never miss a new video. With that, I'll see you next time.